Good evening, good evening, good evening, family. Welcome to another edition of Thorough Black Talk with your sister Keisha, your brother Tad, and your brother Ashe SJ. Will be joining us shortly, along with our guest host, Brother Blacksmith, and Sister Marcia will join us in a few. Glad to be back with each and every one of you. We've been away for a minute, taking care of some personal things, and I hope and pray that everything has been well with you and yours. We truly miss being with you all. And so tonight, what better time than to come back in the beginning of September as we send our babies back to school and wish them the best and give them the best. Always encourage our children because they are the most impressionable and the most vulnerable of us all. And so we always want to wish our babies the best from pre K to the collegiate level. We wish you all the best and want you all to succeed. And always remember that whatever discipline you choose in life, keep it black and be black first. And it's also important that we be in spaces where our children are so that we can give them intellect, insight, and fortitude to deal with this crazy world that we are currently living in. So, again, kudos to all the students going back to school. Brother Tad on the check-in. How you feeling, Brother Tad? Was good?
I'm good. I'm good. Life is good. I'm happy to be back with you and the family. I'm just, life is good, sis. Taking it light, breathing easy. Like you said, only got one baby now, Kayla.
No, they all your babies. Stop playing.
Yeah. No, remember, they're adults. I'm talking about the offspring of adults now. And if you can imagine scrambling for school clothes and supplies and all that, yeah, those days over. You know what I like? I like watching them scramble now. Just to clothe their children and get supplies for them. But it's a blessing. I feel good. See the little people real excited to get back to school, see their friends. Young people love to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So, to your point, it is important that we in these spaces so we can teach our children appropriately. Because there's some things I saw on social media that we could discuss later on, but these are things we knew was coming down the pipeline in terms of people now identifying themselves as maps and things like that. Yeah, so we got to be vigilant and stay on point. And as you like to say, keep our head on the swivel.
Brother Tad want to start trouble early, early, early this evening. I see that. I tell you, boy, what would I do without my brothers? I tell you. You know, Brother Tad, he lay low and he cool. But he be sending me some stuff. I'll be like, what Tad trying to get me riled up today? I'll be drinking water and minding my own black business.
You know what?
Between Brother Tad and Brother Marcia, they be giving it to me. What's up, brother?
They say the emptiest vessel make the loudest noise. So I decided to move in silence, move real stealth. I'm working on some other things for the community, that we plan on launching. And of course, we'll make the announcements, things for the adults as well as the children. Because there's so much going on and our people are getting lost in this matrix, in this bombardment of misinformation, have our people running around looking and sounding real crazy, and people don't get it until the game is over, you know. So we
Facts,
have.
my brother. Facts, my brother. And again, I don't know if everything looks clear on my camera, but I'm trying a new camera, and plus I'm cleaning out my office. I'm trying to get some work done in here because y'all won't believe it or not. I don't know, but I have stuff piled up like to almost the ceiling. Y'all can't see it because it's in front of me. So I've been putting it off for years, actually, because you know my office here at the house is just not something I care too much about. You know what I mean? It's just my space where I keep my stuff, where I do my work, where I go to school. Everything is in this office. So I really don't care too much. But I say, you know what? I got to clear out this clutter because I have some other things that are downstairs in the basement that I want to bring up here. So I'm like, let me just get that out the way. So I'm in the process of doing that. So if y'all see any craziness going on my screen, please forgive me.
Don't turn your camera around and look like Dr. Umar's apartment.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying.
You know he coming to Brooklyn, I think, next month, this month.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, let's move right along.
Yeah.
Shout out to the family or the check-in. Sister Joyce, Brother Monty. Thank you all for joining us again. We definitely appreciate you. And I was thinking about Brother Monty the other day, something I was reading about yesterday. I think that Sister Marcia has sent me. And I immediately thought about you and Brother Monty. I'll discuss that with y'all later on in the broadcast. Sister Amanette, too. What's good out there in Arkansas? Arkansas is the birthplace of the oldest black church.
Really?
Not the AME church. The oldest AME church is in Philadelphia. But the oldest black church comes out of Arkansas, believe it or not. So maybe I'll do something on that history one day. I told you I'm a backpacker. I'll get on my back. I don't tell nobody. Get on a bus or a train or something and go do some research somewhere and then come right back. Sister Marie, glad to have you with us. I know you're excited. All your students is back. That's what I'm talking about. Uh, what do you say? What are your thoughts on the passing of Dr. Ava Muhammad? Um, that's a big loss,
Yes.
at least in my opinion, Brother John. I learned a lot from Sister Ava Muhammad. I appreciate her journalistic intellect, um, her legal understanding of the system that we live in. And so she also had a way of appealing to the female nature without badgering us. Because, and that's very, very important. And we are losing great people like that. We are now living in a system, as Brother Tad mentioned, when you look on social media, this need to bash and disrespect and, just spew out information that is incorrect. And just because some have a popular fan base, which is crazy to me saying that in itself, um, our people are being bombarded with a lot of foolishness and a lot of bashing that's going on to each other, and leaving Urugu completely off the hook. You know what I mean? Like you got people battling each other over nonsense, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Let me make this point very clear as we move on, family. It is not my intent to alter someone's philosophy and how they live their lives. Now, I'm not talking about the booty pluggers and all that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, if you're a Christian, you're a Christian. If you are polygamous and you're all adults, I don't care. If you're Jewish, you're Jewish. If you're whatever, I don't care. What we gonna do about this Urugu? That's all I care about. Stupid stuff like that because, unfortunately, Brother Tad, our generation and the millennial generation, those of us who claim to have an insight and understanding of what's going on, fall into the trap of being narcissistic dictators. And that never works. It has never worked in history, ever. Show me one organization that operated like that that's still standing today, and I'll wait. I'll wait. You can't do that. Even Dr. Khaled, peace be upon him, he made it plain. No matter where you are, as long as you what? Black first. He said, even when he had that dialogue with Dominic Carter. Remember that, Brother Tad?
Yeah. From New
He
York
said,
One.
if you're a reporter for News One, be a black revolutionary reporter. He say leave. You shouldn't be a journalist working for the man. No, be black where you at. If you're a caseworker, if you're a social worker, be black where you're at. That's all. That's all. It's nothing wrong with that either. It's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
Every other ethnic group do it, right?
Yeah. Sis, there's a psychosis that permeates through our community where we feel that we shouldn't be in certain spaces, whether it's within government, law enforcement, whatever, whatever, whatever. But if we really have an understanding of who we are as a people, not just now, but historically, we've always occupied spaces. We can't be the creators of civilization and not function within a system or even create the systems that operate today. Unfortunately, so many people operate in this paradigm of being a poor righteous teacher to where we shouldn't have jobs. We should, and I hear it. I hear it. Don't mean I agree with it. And some people have their own life experiences that they got to move in. However, we have to accept our people where they are and utilize them where they are. Like you said, wherever we are, let's just be black there. And it don't mean we have to be extreme going into work talking about we gonna kill it. Nah, not all that, not that crazy stuff. We leave them nut jobs to themselves, but do what's right in the best interest of the group, like other groups do. I mean, wherever we go, we see it. When when you see Spanish people who don't know each other, they start talking Spanish, they look out for each other, whether it's directions or resources and information. They help each other just on the strength of that. Same thing with Asian folks, same thing. We used to operate in that modality, but now we just on some later for them. I'm trying to get mine. Everybody's trying to get theirs, and we don't operate as a group anymore. And it's so unfortunate because what we see happening right now with this wealth transfer, it is groups are working together. Us, on the other hand, we want to block each other, and not all of us, because those that work together though is a small minority. Because those we're trying to pull along, they operating with the wrong information, and we're trying to correct them. It's like case in point. It's like when Black Lives Matter kicked off. I think today or yesterday makes 6 years since our brother Darren Seals was murdered. I think yesterday made 6 years since Darren Seal was murdered, 2016, right? But we were telling people about Black Lives Matter from the gate. And people were saying we hating, we don't know what we're talking about, what are we doing? But where Black Lives Matter now? What have they done within the 6 years that they've been in existence to our knowledge? What have they done for the community outside of buying mansions for themselves and spray painting the ground Black Lives Matter? What institutions have they built? What schools have they built? Did they advocate for critical race theory and get that pushed through to be taught within the school system? Which I have my own thoughts and ideas about quote unquote critical race theory. That in itself is multi-layered, and we could talk about that later on. But my point is that even when we're trying to help people, some of our people are so arrogant, to your point earlier, and so narcissistic, they won't even acknowledge that they don't know. You bring the information like, no, I study this stuff. Because like you said, in your office, I'm quite sure the piles of stuff that you have in there is information, news articles, books, documentaries. Because that's what I have. I have a storage unit that I paid for just to keep my books, not to mention the books in the bedroom. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have tons of information, and this is why I be quiet a lot. If you ever look at my social media pages, I no longer post information. I think I gave people more than enough information. I done pointed them in every direction I could. There's nothing to talk about anymore. Now it's time for action. But have people accomplished their goals that was taking donations from the community for years? Have people built them schools and daycares that they promised the community? Has those houses been built? Those quote unquote sustainable houses been built? Remember, Brother Polite was talking about he was building houses and he sustainable houses with these. No, let's call them out, sis. Where are those houses? See, I didn't make nobody no promise that I did not deliver. When we said we were going to do something, it was done. Make no mistake about it, you know? But where are those sustainable houses? When young Pharaoh was talking about he was building a daycare for the community, where's that daycare? Umar still having block parties. There ain't no first day of school yet.
Yeah, because like you said, it's a bunch of malarkey.
Yeah.
It's smoke and mirrors. It's a
And we
money
got
grab.
fire. We
It's a
got to hold,
hustle game.
yeah. Because you got brothers like our brother Marcus Klein that is actually doing it. Several buildings. Don't get the fanfare because he's not out here looking for fanfare. He's out here looking to educate the children. And that's what he's doing. He'd rather get the work done than be popular. Everybody want to be popular. And I ain't with it. I ain't with it. I'm popular in my hood. I'm popular in my community because of what I've done within the community. My resume speaks for itself. My reputation speaks for itself. My hands speak for themselves. If anybody doubt that a brother's a warrior, but this is what we need in our community. And it's almost like we talking to the deaf, dumb, and the blind because people don't advocate what they say they about. People say they pro-black and they want the betterment for the community, but where's the advocacy for that? Instead, we following blind folks. And this ain't no knock on none of the names I mentioned. This is just a call to action. People got to be held accountable. Because a few people I've donated to and nothing happened. And I ain't got that kind of money. I got a family. I got a family that could definitely use my money more than a lot of these charlatans out here taking collections for these grandiose ideas. So I'm just saying that it's time for us, not just you and our Sister Keisha, but our audience. Everybody who say they about the people, everybody who claim to be a student of Dr. Clark and Dr. Amos Wilson and Dr. Ben, all those people who say they're the students of the master teachers and the elders and the greats and the ancestors, it's time we hold folks' feet to the fire. Those who want to be in position, all right, know it comes with a cost. And the cost is accountability. And if you can't get it done, you got to get dealt with. We look at other.
That's the problem, brother Tad. Nobody wants to deal with accountability, especially when you're wrong.
Yeah, yeah. See, we look at other groups and we watch them deal with their traitors. We watch them deal with the thieves in the community. What do you think happened to Bernie Madoff, Jeffrey Epstein? What do you think happened to them? There's about to betray the group. No, you're not. No, you're not. You get moved right off the board. What do? We make up excuses. You got to give them time. You can't. Time is not a luxury of black folks.
Say that again, brother Tad.
We do not have the luxury of time. This world is moving at an ever so fast pace. The things that we seeing now, I didn't think I'd be alive to see it. I knew the transgender agenda was coming. I knew these map folks was coming. I said I won't be alive.
Zoophilias.
You
That's
know,
another one. The zoophilia.
yeah, the zoophilias. But now we said this years ago when we were with Straight Black Pride and everybody was like, yo, y'all bugging. We said, y'all don't understand Pandora's box is being open. You accept this, you're going to accept all kind of sexual deviancy. And once you let that genie out the bottle, you can't put them back in. Because now they advocating for zoophilia. Here in the North America, because they've been doing it in Europe. Now they're trying to normalize it in North America because, of course, they've been practicing it. And now this new thing going on, which is a sexual preference group called MAPS, minor attracted peoples or persons. And they're saying they're going to stop vilifying that. Stop vilifying pedophilia. Come on. We called this years ago. And everybody said we crazy. But now Pandora's box is open. We need another strategy, another plan of action. It got to move beyond the lip service. People have to implement ideas that they want to see. Because what happens, Sister Keisha, is people look at us as the voice and leaders of the community for our efforts, but it's only so much we can do. So people have these great ideas, but they don't get it started, don't get it implemented. And we just need all hands on deck. We've been saying this for years. If you got a great idea, please present it. Let's get it popping. We work with people around the country and around the world. There's nothing we can't do. Our ancestors have already shown us that. Garvey has done it. W.B. Du Bois has done it. Harriet Tubman has done it. Booker T. Washington did it when he built the Tuskegee Institute. Come on, man. There's nothing we can't do. We are the greatest. We have to remember that. We are the victors, not the victims. Only thing we're victim to is our mentality. It's thinking that we can't do this great stuff that we've been known to do. Everybody know we great except us. We can talk about it, but we don't walk in it. We don't act it out every day. We act like we scared. We act like we scared of our children. We act like we scared of each other. You know. So I'm
Facts,
gonna step
brother
off my
Tag.
soapboxes. It's too early for that stuff. Yeah.
Facts, brother Tag. We're gonna get into it in the second hour of our show. Excuse me, we will deal with things that we have been seeing on the internet or that brother Tad and sister Marcia have been bothering me with. So that's
Shout out to
that's
Sister Marcia and her efforts of what she's doing with the young people out in Queens too. We definitely have
yeah.
to
And
that.
and speaking of, well, I'll wait till she gets in and we'll discuss all of that because even commentary about that, the same commentary that we heard when Black Panther came out, brother Tad, it's the same commentary now.
Of course. Of course.
It behooves me. And these are people who claim they want to help our people, but you ain't in these streets with these babies.
Right.
Where
Now,
you at?
yeah.
You behind the computer on your fingers. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's so bad, brother Tad. Where you got Gen Zers with enough common sense and fortitude pushing information to each other via TikTok and other streaming avenues, teaching each other, putting it in a way that is palatable to their generation. I'm watching teenagers remix Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, Shashi McIntyre. I watched something on TikTok. Somebody did something on her, a teenager, her and Dr. Julia Hare.
Mm.
So they not stupid.
Nope.
We trying to play games. And when they ask us pointing questions and we don't have real answers for them, we want to throw people under the bus. We want to throw temper tantrums. I ain't got time for all of that. That's one of the reasons why I stay to myself. Because let me tell you something. Brother Tyler tell you, I will smack the taste out of your mouth. I don't have
Right.
time. Just leave me alone with the foolishness. Either you bout it or you not. We got serious issues out here. Speaking of which, lead found in the water of Jacob Reed houses of the NYCHA complex in Lower Manhattan, New York City. Across the other side of this bridge, y'all. Where are the black politicians in the city of New York? 51 members of the city council. You mean to tell me that it's their responsibility, the city council, to forge an investigation because not Jacob Reese houses don't get its own water line. Nobody in the city gets their own water line, with the exception of various islands in the middle of Brooklyn and in Manhattan. And that's because they are by themselves. Everyone else share water lines. So now you in Lower Manhattan at the Jacob Reese houses, and they're the only ones who have lead in the water. Now, on a Friday, someone came out to the residents and told them that they couldn't test the water because testing sites were closed for the weekend and also closed for the holiday this past Labor Day. However, Tuesday morning, they came back out to Jacob Reese houses and told the tenants that the water was fine. How did it become fine? You just told me you couldn't get it tested. And how long has it been in that system before it was recognizable to some of the tenants who then made complaints? And people believe, you know, that the city, the state, and the federal government aren't responsible, but they are because they all share an ownership of NYCHA. Now, it's not just NYCHA, Jacob Reese houses. Well, excuse me. Now they're saying, I don't know if everybody's seen my skit, but I talked about the Bronx complex having Legionnaire's disease. Well,
Yes.
guess what they're saying now? That it isn't arsenic. Excuse me, I said lead. Arsenic in the water. It's Legionella bacteria. They revamping the story. Arsenic is deadly. How did it get in that system? Just like that, they done changed it. And let me tell you something. I haven't seen these black and Latino politicians, city council members. Now, I have seen Jamani Williams out there drinking water from a portable apparatus for residents who paying $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 rent. This is not the only complex with issues right now, and I'm gonna tell you why we are not seeing much pushback from the city council. They don't have to because NYCHA residents aren't making them do it. When that fire took place in the Bronx, remember that, Brother Tad? And
Yes.
a lot of our brothers and sisters from the continent lost their lives.
Yes.
Eric Adams was out there ASAP. Eric Adams went out to the Jacob Reese houses for 8 minutes. And I'm going to play a video a little later on where the residents said that. I didn't say it. They said it. For a photo op. If this was a problem in Marine Park, Central Park West, the whole city would be in an uproar. But because it is people who look like you and I, in what is deemed to be low income housing, again, I don't know how that's low income because some people paying over $2,000 a month in NYCHA.
Yes.
It goes by your income. You have correction officers who live in NYCHA. You have nurses and who live in NYCHA. You have city employees who live in NYCHA. It goes by your income.
Yeah.
And I have to say this. When I went to that NYCHA town hall meeting back in 2018, it saddened me. One, because they were spewing what was actually happening, excuse me, family, in NYCHA. But NYCHA has 90,000 residents. 90,000 people, or a fraction of thereof, should have been at those town hall meetings. I don't live in NYCHA, but I was there because I got friends and I got family who live in NYCHA. Where are the residents? You have dilapidated conditions in these NYCHA complexes, which, by the way, a lot of them are being sold to private developers. There's a lot of refacing that are going on the outside. They're changing the look of the outside of how it looks.
As well as
And,
the inside.
well, I don't know about all that.
I'm thinking of Flatbush Gardens.
Oh, yeah, that one, yeah.
There,
Mm-hmm.
they were the first. I think they were like the test run, you know, just to see how this would work. And now that they see it did, from Fort Greene to Coney Island, to your point, you see all of these refaces and remodels happening. Because they're doing the outsider right now, but once they get the original residents out, then you'll see them renovating all the apartments, you know, turning them to nice modern apartments with countertops and you know, kitchen living room combos. And yeah, I've been in Flatbush Gardens. In fact, before we bought the house, we looked at apartments, quote unquote, Flatbush Gardens. I'll tell you a real quick story. And, you know, they had a nice video on YouTube and everything. This when YouTube was first really popping. And so we looked and I said, wow, it looks beautiful, but Flatbush
I
Gardens.
remember that.
They was like, yeah, the office is on Notion and Newkirk. And I'm like, Notion and Newkirk? No. I said, why is that so familiar? I pull up. I was like, yo, this is Vanderveer Projects. What? This is Vanderveer Projects. The year was 2009, 2010. I said, this is, and of course they got a white agent showing me around. And I'm like, well, what's going to happen with the original tenants? He said, well, you know, some will be able to stay, but most of them will have to leave. And I didn't want to be a part of that because it was early gentrification, you know. once they let their presence be felt. And to your point, I'm gonna give you the mic back, but this is what we see going on all around New York. And maybe the poisoning of the water is a ploy to get our folks out of there as well. Because of course we know it's not just here, it's still going on in Flint, still ain't fixed that, down in Mississippi and other places. And I think Sister Marie said down in Baltimore, a situation is going on. So we got to keep our eye out.
Exactly. And it's happening in all of these developments where black people reside as the majority, I would say. Black
Right,
people and Latino people or brown people, how you want to call them, all in the same. And I'm saying black because, black people who speak a second language as Spanish that I know, they consider themselves black. And if you call them anything other than that, they going to come for your head. But of course, we know what the white ones are doing. We know those who are identifying with their white oppressors. We know the difference. I'm talking about people we grew up with in the projects.
right.
There was no separation. You know,
So
we didn't have they didn't even consider themselves that. They was black. They black. They still
right.
black. So I don't know, where these people grow up at, what's going on. But we'll get into all of that a
Just
little bit later.
real quick. Since you brought that up, I want to get your thoughts. What do you think about when people say that Puerto Ricans are guests in the hip hop culture, that they didn't help start it?
First of all, hip hop was founded by DJs. Let's just be clear. Let's be clear. Now, as far as who was around when, they were there. And that's why I'm saying talk to people who were actually born and around during that time.
That's
Not
right.
something I read.
That's
You know,
right.
my uncle who just passed away not too long ago. We just buried my cousin Michelle last week. Her children's father was a popular DJ. I'm going back to the 70s. Talk to people who were there, not
Yes.
people who read something or ain't old enough to tell me a damn thing, especially about my city. You ain't old enough
Say
to
that
tell
part.
me nothing.
Say
You
that
know,
part.
so it's a bunch of shenanigans and it's all divisive.
Yeah.
Um, as far as I know, they were always around.
Of course. We were there, sis.
That's what
We,
I'm saying.
they were in
What
Fort
are we
Green
talking
projects
about
with
here?
you.
And they didn't call themselves Latino. I'm like, this
No,
is crazy.
they were black. They were black. They had afros, cornrows, and some of them, if they don't open their mouth and speak Spanish, you wouldn't even know that they were Puerto Rican. It's funny. My stepfather is he's brown skinned, he's dark, but he's Panamanian. And he speaks Spanish. The first Panamanian person I remember ever meeting. But most people see him, and then of course they identify him as black until he speaks, and then you want to call him Latino. No, you had it right the first time. He's a black man. He happened to speak Spanish. Like, we're black people who happen to speak English. Ain't none of us speaking our native tongue. So how can we differentiate who's who and what's what? You can't tell me a Puerto Rican ain't black when many of them are darker than us.
Let me tell you, my cousin, I can't get him on here right now, but he just came back from Puerto Rico. His father, Puerto Rican, just as dark as I am. They don't know nothing about it. All they know is black. Like, what are you
Right.
talking about?
You talking about black? I mean, white. Who's white? Like,
Yeah, you have white Puerto Ricans, just like
yeah,
you got white New Yorkers.
yeah.
It's white. Listen, let's not be confused and let's not let these people put us in a box that is damaging. That is damaging. I grew up in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. Fort Greene Projects. Everybody know the Lugo family.
Yes.
They black.
Yeah.
We didn't have Richie or any of them ever said they was anything but.
Right.
And they might be off with your head if you say anything outside of that. Like, what is wrong with you? You know, uh, Supreme
I'm
Magnetic.
about to say Supreme enough. Rest in peace to Fly
Yep,
Top. You know, but no,
Yes. Say they not black and see what happened.
yeah,
See what happened. Like
yeah.
it's so I don't know what is well, I do know where it's coming from. I said it in the intro. It's a lot of foolishness that's going on out here.
It's a lot of misinformation. People who weren't there. I had to ask somebody. I said, "Do you honestly think Kool Herc started hip hop by himself?" Because when people talk hip hop, people just think rap, and they don't understand it was a whole culture. Like if you wasn't in New York in the 70s and early 80s, I'm talking about when there was no radio play. You had to go to the park or the block party to hear the songs. They weren't played on the radio. It wasn't on TV. Is you kidding me? It was a whole culture that everybody who was there added onto. You know what I'm saying? You had to be a part of it. You just had to be there. And as you said, Sister Keisha, blacks and Puerto Ricans, whether they were light-skinned Puerto Ricans, but most Puerto Ricans identify as black. Some would just identify as light-skinned black, some are just dark-skinned, where it's indisputable. Just like with us as black people, we come in all shades. What Adam Clayton Powell said, we come in everything from charcoal to chalk, all complexions. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing for our Boricua brothers and sisters. But it's so much division going on, even with the B1s. B1s ain't the same as FBA, ain't the same as ADOS. And it's funny that we cause this division amongst ourselves, but I'll tell you this, we all got the same enemy. We all got the same enemy. But see, that's a weakness. It's a sign of weakness when you want to practice that division, because here's the thing is you think your group could beat this group because you're too afraid of that real group. You know what I'm saying? When the real enemy come, you ain't lifting a finger to put your hands on them. But if somebody say they Caribbean or continental African or black Latino or British African or whatever, you want smoke with them. Well, you ain't ADOS, you ain't FBA, you ain't like Negro. You don't get out my face with that stupidity. Because none of them really want smoke. It's a question I ask my homies, right? Sister Keisha, and this is funny, growing up in New York. I always, when we talk about the white man oppressing us and holding us down, and then I always say, yo, outside of the police, how many white people put their hands on you? Most of the brothers be like, none. I said, now how many white folks you beat on? And we all laugh like, yo, I can't even count. So who's the oppressor? Ain't no white people got me oppressed. It's the ignorance that many people perpetuate because they're not supreme, first of all. I don't recognize them as being supreme. I don't think they're better. I don't think they're powerful. The problem is many of our people do. So we don't move forward. And accordingly, we don't do what's necessary because this is a team sport. It's like if we playing football and I'm ready to play the other team, but most of my teammates are scared. Yeah, I don't want to get on the field. So I got to go out there and play football by myself. I ain't going to win like that. I need the whole team to join in and have the same gumption and acknowledgement that we can win. But so many people are defeated up here. They're defeated up here. Nobody's making them do stuff they don't want to do like they did our ancestors and our grandparents. Ain't nobody coming out the house saying, hey, Sister Keisha, move this box across the street from me. Nobody's doing that. And if they did, they're going to get met with aggression. Let's be clear. It's too many times that we being shown cowardice, black folks, saying that this is the behavior of our people. Even when we talk about the migration from the South, many times they say we left the South because of the violence and we was looking for jobs. No, talk about sometimes some of our men and women put hands on the open enemy and had to leave town because it meant certain death. Talk about that part. But our people don't read enough. They don't study enough. So all they see is us being the victims, and seldom do they read our story of us being the victors. Because much of what we have is not to the benevolence of white folks. It's from us fighting and resisting. Even if you look at the quote unquote holidays we have, some people are like, oh, white folks gave it to us. No, they didn't. I remember taking Dr. King's birthday off as a kid before it was recognized. I've been celebrating Juneteenth for so long, I can't tell you when I started. It only got steam during COVID, when everybody was locked in and ain't had no choice but to get this new information. So we got to stop acting like they were so benevolent. Even when it comes to our freedom or pseudo freedom, however you want to recognize it, because freedom is subjective. When it comes to our freedom, it wasn't the benevolence of Abraham Lincoln. It's because we were fighting. It was because of Nat Turner, Gabriel Prosser, Denmark Vesey, and so many others who go unnamed. It's because we fought. You got to stop being cowards so much. Always acting like these people were nice and we appeal to their higher moral conscience. Nah. If I'm going to get off my soapboxes, we got Sister Marcia in the house.
Marcia.
Sister
I don't care what blacks say. We pronouncing it that way because we Brooklynites. So welcome to the Brooklyn Bridge, sis. How you feeling? What's your take on this divisive tactics that are being used with our people? What's your take on it, sis?
Well, first, let me say hello to everyone. How's everyone doing? Thank you again for having me. And two, our problem is our problem. As long as, like Brother Tad was saying, as long as we allow the chatter from outside to inculcate ourselves and not think for ourselves, we're always going to be in this predicament. And we don't have to be. We just have to think just a little bit, and read just a little bit. And today is International Literacy Day. So I hope the people out here was reading something and got some type of information from anything.
I got my book.
What is that?
Facebook.
Oh God. You see, that's why he be on punishment. You see?
What?
You can tell who got a lot of ass whoopings when they was young. You can just tell right off the rip. I don't even say nothing. You know, like my husband downstairs, he be messing around. You be aggravated. I always tell him, I know you got a lot of ass whoopings because you just don't listen. You don't listen.
Well, they used to say I don't listen too, and but sometimes you listen in your own way and you listen to your inner self. Some listeners listen in different ways, or everyone listen in a different way, but hopefully we can all listen to one tune, right? And I think one of the reasons why we can't hear is because we have no oath and no anthems that we say every day or when we come together. I think that's when I've been reading certain things, it's like they're always doing a particular thing at a particular time. And for us, outside of church, there is nothing that we do that is for us. There is no pledge that we say that is for us. And at that, I researched pledges that African folks have written. We have over 100 pledges, yet we don't say any of them. Some of them are okay, some of them are better, but we don't say any of them. And I think that's probably one of the arching problems for our people. They have nothing to tie themselves to. And so it's easy for them to be like, oh, ADOS is better, FBA is better. What did Tad say? British African, Boricuas, all of those things where it gives them something to tie into is better than formulating that system. We just need that system in play and that organization. We could do it. In the past 10 years, we've seen at least that all three of us have been a part of 7 organizations pop up. And where are they now?
Yes.
For the mere fact that there was no overarching pledge and there was no system and organization in place. So I think moving forward, that's one of the major tenets that we have to work on as a collective.
Well, I'll say this. In defense of the village, of the African village, always did oath to the ancestors and always sung lift that voice and sing in its entirety.
Yes.
In its entirety.
Yes.
And I mean, so African movement as well. UAM.
Say that again.
I said the UAM as well. United African Movement always sung lift every voice and sing. And there was always a pledge. You know, those two organizations. But like you said, of the myriad of organizations, you're definitely correct. Because even then, sometimes we see the division amongst the organizations, like, oh, I don't rock with this organization, I don't rock with that one,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's
And
things.
not rocking with them is a detriment to the cause, right? Because we're always going to have problems. We're not going to be, sailing on a nice, easy path of water or stuff like that. There's always going to be rough currents, but we have to understand how to navigate it without, oh, I don't like them, and that's it, and it's over, and blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, so how are we going to get anywhere? You don't like the person, figure out a way to get along and make things work. Because you not liking that person is really not a big deal. Because 1,000 other people like that person.
Right.
So it's
I
not,
think
we can't make it an individual thing. We have to make it a collective thing. And we're too busy being individuals out here.
right. I think it goes to something Sister Keisha said at the top of the show, with the narcissistic leadership. Because I've spoke with plenty of leaders and tried to get them to work with other leaders. Some were agreeable, some were not. And I said, you got to understand what this means to the community because we're already a small group. Our conscious African-centered movement / community is very small. What are we supposed to be? 13% of the US population? And out of that 13%, how many of us have a consciousness of an African identity and
Mm-hmm.
in a spirit of activism that
Mm-hmm.
really engage in the work to move our community forward? This thankless, payless work that's constantly done. We're a small percentage. So in that small percentage, it would do us some justice to work together as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to this leader of this organization don't like this leader, this organization. So therefore the groups can't work together. And if you
Mm-hmm.
down with them, I can't rock with you because they lead us sucker.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow. It was like a question was asked of me when we first started Straight Black Pride. And somebody said, how does it work? You're a member of the African Village and you're part of Straight Black Pride. And we know the leaderships don't get along. How does that work? Mind you, I was in leaderships in both organizations. And I said, because it ain't about egos. For me, I don't people worship. This is about the people. What I do in both organizations, and both of them serve their purposes. Straight Black Pride, it was for, the hardcore revolutionaries, the extreme ones who were already familiar with our warrior ancestors. African Village, it's like black consciousness 101, something you could bring your grandmother to, something you could bring your children to, where it's family centered. I said, and we got to learn how to compartmentalize these groups and bring them together and use them for what they're for, as opposed to saying, oh, y'all doing it this way, that's soft. Oh, y'all too extreme, y'all crazy over there. And these are just two organizations I was a part of because there's other groups that I've worked with but wasn't a part of, but I couldn't get the leaders to come together. And I asked, do you see the problem that creates? Because it further divides the community. And this is why what we're doing on this platform is so important, because it don't have to be any of us three right here. It could be somebody in the audience, because each of us has started out as someone in the audience. We got the information, we heard the call, we took action. That's simple. Only credentials you need is to love our people and be committed to the assignment. That's it.
Ashe. And maybe it's not so much, even if someone founded an organization, maybe it's not so much the idea of the founders. It's the idea of the people in the organizations and how they can bring more people into the collective, right? Because we find a way to marry each other and merge in a way that really makes sense for the collective and for the future. I think so many times we sit here and just think about right now. Oh, it's right now. It's right now. It's the assignment right now. But the assignment is for tomorrow, not for this moment right now. And we don't understand that as a group. And I'm learning that as a
Yeah.
person. So I know that it's very hard to understand that as a whole collective, because so many people are in whatever they're in and they can't think for the future or the present. They can just think for the immediate two
Right.
seconds, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
And
very
this you
interesting.
lose because it's chess, not checkers.
Right.
You got to think 4 or 5 moves ahead. And I said this before, this is one of the reasons I came in the movement, because I did not want my children and grandchildren to inherit this fight that I'm willing to and strong enough to take on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, it's like when we say freedom, just because we won a battle today doesn't mean there's not a battle tomorrow. I think that's another thing we lost an understanding of, is that, okay, we got civil rights. Let's all sit down. We're good now. Woo, got jobs. Oh, that city job pays well. And then we
Right.
forgot. And now look at the state of the communities now, because parents sat down, they got comfortable, and we
But
can't get. Okay.
you know what it is, sis? And I like to tell people this is freedom is subjective, because we're always going to have a struggle each generation,
Right.
because Dr. King dream was fulfilled, you know, Harriet Tubman dream was fulfilled, they met their goals. Now it's on us to reach our goals, whatever that looks like. That's why I say freedom is subjective. I mean, I've been locked up. I wanted to be free. I wanted to be out of that prison cell. I wanted to be out of that jail cell. So am I out? Yes. Am I free? Depends on the context we're using it in.
Mhm.
I've been to the dungeons in Ghana. Are we free? It's subjective. We out of them dungeons, we off them slave ships, we off them plantations. Each generation had their goal and idea and vision for what freedom is to them. That's why I say it's subjective, because now we have to identify as a group. What does freedom look like to us? It looks like clean water. It
Mhm.
looks like equity in the economics. It looks like,
Housing.
right. It looks like fair housing to us. That's
It's funny you mentioned, not to cut your wisdom, brother Tad, but and to get back to your point, as far as equity and economics, I joined an initiative here in the city because the future of travel in urban areas is changing. Whether you all want to believe it or not, it's already there.
Mhm.
But I wanted to join the initiative, one, so that I can have a say so in the restructuring of the development in where I live, number one. Two, I want our people to be in the forefront of business and changing the dynamic in the future of urban travel, right? So I happened to find a company in New Jersey who would take the contract here in New York. That was the only black one I found that operated in what I'm talking about, and that's progressive, or let me say, I wouldn't say progressive. Um, mm, Restructuring. I'm trying to keep it because I'm not supposed to say certain things. Restructuring of urban development. For an example, bike lanes everywhere. Bike lanes are everywhere, right? So now they want to put in protected bike lanes. New York, California, and all the rest of these, Philadelphia, Atlanta, you will be just like the Dutch in a few years because that's just where, development is going. You have your president and senators who were telling you to stop buying vehicles, right? The way we travel in urban centers is changing. So why shouldn't black people be in the forefront when the majority of our people live in these cities? But who knows about these plans? Who knows about these uh uh city contract meetings?
You do, and you're
I
informing
do.
us.
Right. So that's why I joined the initiative.
Right. Thank
So
you.
I reached out to the brother, he got on board, and now he's in the running. You see what I'm saying? these hubs that are throughout the city, in particular Brooklyn, the uni pods. If you ever been downtown Brooklyn, the Barclay Center, you see this gray box, huge big box in front of, I guess it's, what is it, Stop and Shop now? Is that the store
Yeah,
down here?
yeah,
You see this big, huge block. No one knows what it is, but those of us on the inside know that it's parking for people with bicycles. And you have to sign up for it. Your bikes have to be insured, and so on and so forth. Do you know that's a black owned company?
Mhm.
So if we are not in these spaces, as Tad said, he's seeing things that now that he never thought he would ever see in his time. Life is changing at a rapid pace, and we still arguing about if Dr. Ben was wrong. I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't give a damn. I'm riding with him. That's all I'm telling you. Now
right.
what? Now what you gonna do? What you gonna do about these Urugals? Huh? What you gonna do? So
But you
that's how
know
I
how
dead or argument, sis. Great. That's what you are. You like it. I love it.
right.
How you gonna get this Urugu in the ground? Because if
But
you
you
ain't
know
got a plan for that, kick rocks and don't tell me nothing.
it's so easy for people to find excuses, find ways to not participate. And then, like I always say, they always say, oh my God, that's just too hard and stuff like that. But tell your manager tells you push out a 45-page report by tomorrow for the meeting. You're there overnight doing it, not with your family. You're doing everything to make sure your manager is happy. We have to figure out a way to make sure our community is happy, our people is happy. We just,
Be in those spaces. Got to be in those spaces, sis.
yes.
And so, in vain of speaking about all of this, um, the influx of people from the Mexican border out of Texas, in New
Mhm.
York, I think we're up to 8,000 now. I could be wrong. That was my last check. The city is so welcoming. The city is so embracing. Where was the city when the Haitian were at the border, the same Texas border, being beat like slaves on a plantation? I didn't hear Eric Adams say, oh, come on here, we'll take you here. This was during his campaign, right? Why his bubble lips wasn't saying, we'll take you here. But you'll take people who you know, who you know will be a problem for black New Yorkers living in this city. How do I know they know that? They gave them the right to vote
Mhm.
Yeah, and driver's license.
and
Mhm.
licenses, and police can't be messing with them either. That's what you call a protected class.
Yes.
Black people have been here since the beginning of time. We still ain't a goddamn protected class because you want to argue if Dr. Ben was better than Dr. Clark.
Mm.
That's ridiculous. You think these people care? Get out of y'all behinds with that. But I'm glad. See, I follow cases. I don't got time for the BS and the chatter. I'm glad some black people have filed a lawsuit. Okay? Black Americans filed federal lawsuit against New York City for law allowing foreign nationals to vote. This is precedent. And I want you all, I'm going to try to stay up with this and keep you all abreast of what's happening with this case. Let me see if I could get it to play here for a second, and then we'll discuss it. Hold on, family.
Black Americans file federal lawsuit against NYC for law allowing foreign nationals to vote. By John Binder on August 29, 2022. A handful of Black Americans, residing in New York City, have filed a federal lawsuit against the city's Board of Elections for a local law that would allow nearly 1 million foreign nationals to vote in citywide elections. As Breitbart News has chronicled, Democrats on the 51-member New York City Council approved a plan last month that allows more than 800,000 foreign nationals with green cards, visas, and work permits the opportunity to vote in citywide elections so long as they have resided in the city for at least 30 consecutive days. 4 Black Americans, Phyllis Coachman, Deroy Murdoch, Catherine James, and Anthony Gill Hughes, represented by the Public Interest Legal Foundation, PILF, have now filed a lawsuit in federal court that mimics their lawsuit filed in New York State, which challenges the law on the grounds that it violates the 15th Amendment in the Voting Rights Act. Racial discrimination, the latest lawsuit alleges, is behind the New York City law as it seeks to dilute the votes of Black Americans by adding hundreds of thousands of Hispanic and Asian immigrants to the voting rolls. The lawsuit states, Local Law 11 violates the 15th Amendment and Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act because it was adopted with impermissible racial intent. It was the explicit intent of the law's sponsors to increase the voting strength of certain racial subgroups while simultaneously decreasing the voting strength of other racial subgroups. An election law enacted with any racial intent or purpose is unconstitutional under the 15th Amendment and Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. As the Supreme Court of the United States has stated, there is no room under the amendment for the concept that the right to vote in a particular election can be allocated based on race. Emphasis added. According to data from the 2020 American Community Survey of the United States Census, there are approximately 1,300,000 foreign nationals residing in Bronx, Kings, New York, and Queens counties. Of that total, approximately 495,000 are Hispanic and 348,000 are Asian. Emphasis added. New York City has approximately 5 million active registered voters. The addition of approximately 1 million foreign citizen voters could potentially make up almost 20% or more of the electorate in future New York City elections. This is greater than the margin of.
I think you all get the gist. This influx of people coming into this city, because, as I've said many times and many years on this platform and others, Black people are voting less. We are tired of the BS. Black people have had it. And if we had maintained that, you could have broken the party and been done with it. And they know that. So they have to bring in a replacement. We are the only, let me tell you something, the largest voting bloc of the Democratic Party. That power is magnificent if we know how to yield it properly. We have no business voting Democrat or Republican. It's time to destroy the party, and they know they on their way out. They know they on their way out. So they scrambling and breaking laws to do so. But they are doing it with the voters' blessing, because you all keep voting these people in. I can say what the hell I want because I didn't put none of them in it. The last time I voted was in 2013 for myself. Mike Graves, Michael Lloyd, period. I haven't touched it since. We've been warning people. As a matter of fact, today is the anniversary when the Freedom Party was up in Harlem at the Million Youth March at the Adam Clayton Powell State Building. Today is that anniversary. September 8th, 2013. We had a chance, but you so far up white people's behinds. Just like I see a lot of y'all out there now crying about the Queen. You afraid to stand on your own, as Brother Taz said. We already have this ability. They know it. Now you got white folks all over social media talk about how great Black people are. That everything they learn from us. But unless white folks say it, people don't believe it. Because where was all these Black people who came out during Black Lives Matter? The only time you came, reason why you was out there is because white folks said it was okay. Because you wasn't there before. Tad ain't see you, Marcy ain't see it, I ain't see it either.
Nope.
Y'all all liars. And we could call some of y'all out. Right, Brother Black? How you feeling, Black? What's good with you?
What's up, y'all? I miss y'all, man, and good to see y'all again. I'm looking at all y'all. You're all looking beautiful and good. Where's my brother Ashe at?
Ashe
You on assignment?
He's on assignment tonight.
Okay, real quick. I'll make some real quick I'm some quick connections. I'm not going to talk too long. Now, the governor of your state is saying that your constitutional right to carry can be infringed, which is against the Constitution, which is what the good guys is doing against the bad guys. In my opinion, if you've been given all those rights, and y'all didn't mention the fact that a lot of these people getting their rent paid, you know, allowances for cars, food stamps, all the stuff that any of us should get on a basic level is what they getting. They getting it. And some of them coming up here too. So my point in saying this is, if you, especially if you're not an ex-felon or you're not on paper or anything like that, and you can carry a gun because you don't have no bad felony record against you, do not let them tell you that you cannot have that, because you're following the Constitution, which says that your rights cannot be infringed. You're gonna need them things that go bang when those people start living around you, and some of them is MS-13 and meant to turn up on a dime because they got chips or whatever. You know, you're threatened to go back home, and you know your hood is looking to kill you if you come back home. You can't go back home. So these are the people, some of these people we're talking about. Remember, supposedly they're not vetting these people. Now, as far as what they were saying about the people coming in the country from south of the border, as well as on the border states in the United States, and coming through Mexico, wherever they coming from, because it ain't just South Americans and Central Americans and Mexicans anymore. There's a lot more to it than that. People are going to other countries and sneaking in that way. And some of them died too. You know, Africa and all kind of different countries. Okay, now that we made that connection, we got to talk about the Queen, whether you care or not about it, because of the significance and what it means. And the intel that I got recently, and I'm gonna end with this, was that the war in Russia is not really between Russia and the Ukraine. That is between the Russians, some Ukrainians who are not, you know, Zionists. I'm not saying that that's not going on a small level, but they don't have an army. Once they can't control the U.S. Army, they don't really have an army, because the U.S. was putting in all their work. The fight really going on over there is between the Russians and the Anunnaki. Now, this is something I heard. I'm not saying that I can verify that and show you this fact or what have you. Now, I'm gonna end it there. Y'all go from there.
Thank you, my brother. Also, Brother Black, have you seen these protests that are going all over in Europe, Prague, Italy?
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah,
right now you got people who are suffering financially, especially with these rising energy costs. And
right.
I mean, you had like 70,000 people from Prague ready to turn up and you know, rush in and do what they had to do. Now, for all of these people who were in an uproar about what happened January 6th here in the Capitol, it's going all around the world. Right now, black folks is behind the 8 ball trying to play catch up. Especially with these mandates and everything else. Additional ones that are coming down the pike. I don't know if you've heard about that. And if you have, maybe you can expound upon it.
Well, from what I understand, the governor just removed, now you don't have to wear masks on public transportation again. So pretty much that's signifying for me that now that they changed you know what the PCR test is, right?
Yes.
The PCR test to test for COVID, to see if you have COVID or what they say is COVID or not. It used to go to 40 cycles, and the guy who created it told, like, you know, wanted to debate Fauci before he I believe he died. He was the creator of the PCR test. He died in about August of 2019, right before COVID got released in Wuhan in October, maybe early November of 2019. So just 2 months before he passed away. And the man was an older man, but he was in good health. He wasn't sickly or anything like that. So what I'm saying is that's wrapping up because the good guys, after they arrested how COVID flowed and so on and so forth, just started discrediting. If you look at this as a case, you can see the progress, because now all those investigations and scrutiny that the prior administration was under is now reversed, totally flipped, like they flipped the table over. Yeah, so that's where we at as far as that's concerned. And the timing of the Queen dying today, if I could curse, I would use another term, but I understand for the purpose of the show, not because of her. I'm not gonna say the word. But what I'm saying, as far as that's concerned,
Spell it out.
Germany and all those Western European countries canceled their oil deals with Russia, and they don't get gas or oil from nowhere. They are going to starve, because you got to understand the machinery that moves the fertilizer runs on oil, whether it's train, plane, or a truck, diesel. Where you going? You ain't getting nothing in, and you ain't got none. They did that to themselves when they cut the Russians off for attacking the Ukraine. The Ukraine is the epicenter of all of the chicanery, all of the debauchery. I'm talking, remember, that is the original Khazaria. And your favorite people who come from there, the so-called ones, not the real ones that come from a place called Palestine, now called Israel. So look at all those connections and connect them for yourself, because all of us know what I'm talking about. As far as the connectivity is concerned, it's all falling apart, basically. I mean, any day now, all this stuff that we talking about pretty much is going to be like, what were we talking about 2 weeks ago?
Facts, especially with these new alliances that are happening, especially with all these new alliances that are happening to change the dominance in currency around the world. So again, right to your point, Brother Ray put up, we're moving right along. Brother Ray put up, it's still not getting city workers back to work. It's not, Brother Ray. And here's what needs to happen. City workers who have been displaced because they refuse to be jabbed up have to file a lawsuit against the unions. The unions were in breach of contract when they pressed that mandate for their members. They breached the contract. And this is what I'm saying. We need people in the courtrooms to deal with this nonsense. If that was to happen, and let's say city workers won that case, do you know that sets a new precedent for the city? You then, listen, it's happening already around the country. Nurses in California filed lawsuits and won.
Yeah.
What the hell is city workers waiting on? Yeah. File a lawsuit against these unions first. And after that is done, bring down the city and the state right behind her. Bring, what I call her? Twilight Zone Hercule. Bring her to the floor. Don't you look like something from the Twilight Zone being wished into the cornfields? I ain't messing with that. I'm playing.
Hey, Keisha, but check this out. Let's say y'all heard of Jassar Nassar, whether you with it, not, whatever. I'm not going to get into the politics of it. I just got one thing to say. Just imagine if, based on some kind of formula that's decent, not even the best, but decent. Everybody who's been inconvenienced by all this messery with all the monies they held, building like secret stuff that now we're finding out about so easily, but like even 10 years ago, we didn't know most of this stuff. We're all going to have to get paid for that. And it's not going to be the same system. So in reference to the brother that asked about work and so on and so forth, like I said, one of the biggest steps in that whole process is the Queen dying today. That's not no small thing, and I don't want to keep talking about it to give it importance based on her death. It's the significance of that death that I'm talking about. I don't care about her. I know who she is. I knew who she was 30 years ago. So, you know,
just like the Wizard of Oz, ding dong, the witch is dead.
there you go. That's it.
But I'm serious. I'm really serious about city workers filing lawsuits against the union.
Oh, yeah, that part for sure.
Because first of all, your union dues are arbitrary. They don't have to be. You all elected that to be the case. If you stop that procedure, you have already won. Because they're gonna have to start paying out. Could you imagine union heads have to go to every member and collect dues when there's over 100,000 city employees? This is what I'm saying. Take these bastards to court. The unions are in breach of contract.
Believe in your power.
But if I did, they'd be the first ones on the goddamn list.
The thing is, sister, we need to believe in our power. We don't believe in our power, so we allow the quote unquote powers that be dictate our lives. And it's the opposite way around. We dictate. We have the numbers. We have the paychecks that help pay you. So let's do it, people. I'm all for it. Let's
exactly.
Like,
And it's like all the
what you
protests
said,
that were
Keisha?
happening. Hold on one second.
And what you
It's like all the protests that were happening with city workers and state workers who were against these jab mandates. Where was the protest for the union heads, union officers? Why? Why are you keeping them as an ally of yours when they breach that goddamn contract? I'm still on that part.
Hey, Keisha,
Go ahead.
remember when this was about 2006 or 7. Remember when the transit president went to jail for a few days because he backed
That's
his
where I
workers?
was going. Go ahead, Black. Come on.
And come on, man. With him, like how the Reagan broke the unions with the against the guys that work in the airplane towers at the airport. I forget their name. FAA, is that FAA?
Mm-hmm.
Aeronautics something. But anyway, that's when Reagan broke that union. He broke all unions in the late 80s. It was the same thing that the city of New York did to that dude. I think he was Guyanese. I don't remember his name, but I remember exactly how he went to jail back in his work. They put him in jail for a few days until they negotiated a new deal. I don't know if y'all remember that. That was about 2007 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
6.
Exactly. Yeah. And I remember Tucson very, very much so. And they're air traffic controllers. That's what you were talking about, the air traffic controllers.
Correct. Thank you, sweetie.
Lay said, it appears that Black union organizers have become very weak over the past few years. Absolutely. Listen, I'm not in
people in general. Our people in general have become very weak. It's just, we've been drinking too much cyanide water to understand what's really going on. We are asleep. But I just wanted to make one quick point on the conversation you were having earlier regarding the immigrant flux. Let's also tie in the redistricting that they are still battling here in New York. You know, this redistricting project that they're doing also adds into diminishing the numbers of Black folks in the booth. If you go into the booth.
Charge, do you know who's leading that charge?
City council, I don't remember. I was part of a conversation once upon a time. I don't remember, but there was this group. It's a citizen. It's a white Jewish citizen guy. Can't remember his name. I'm gonna look it up, and I'm gonna get back to you with that information later on this week.
And Sister Pat also agreed with what I said. They call air traffic controllers. I used to work for Pan Am Airlines back in the days when I was in college. So you telling my age.
Pan Am, the airline that smuggled all the stuff.
Right, right. And the
I
crash
had
that happened right
let
after
me
that.
let me tell you, my one of my really first great marketing jobs was with this woman, and her husband was a pilot for Pan Am. And so she would tell us the stories about Pan Am. And I was just like, oh, okay. Not even knowing, again, I probably was asleep. So I didn't know what I didn't know at that time, right? So this is 2000s. So I didn't know what I didn't know at that time. But then later on in like a private conversation, she ends up telling me more about the Pan Am fiasco, and you have to read about it. And I was in school at the time, and she was like, you should write a paper about it because it's really good and how it affected your community. And I was like, affected my community? And that's when I learned all about Pan Am and its dealings with the community.
Absolutely. Before it became popular now, one of the things that happened that still sticks in my mind today, as far as drug smuggling is concerned, you have what the airline industry call trolls, right? People who travel without visas. And we had a situation where a woman was coming in from Bogota, Colombia, and she had infant in her arm, who was wrapped up and come through to immigration, because you see immigration first off international flight,
Mhm.
and they asked to see the baby. The baby was dead, and it had been
Wow.
split down the back from the back of the neck. I know because I had the ride to send her back with immigration. I had to go. That was my job, to go take her back. But anyway, down the back and stuffed with narcotics. It was the
Mm,
most
mm, mm,
gruesome case I had ever seen
mm, mm,
in my
mm.
life.
Wow.
So I know, and they try to push it under the rug. But you
But
know,
the
they
pilots, the stewardess,
I'm telling
everyone was involved. Everyone, pilots, stewardess, bag handlers, everyone was involved in it. It wasn't, you know, just that one person or those one
and
couriers.
not even just in Colombia. You had people who were coming
Right.
through Budapest,
Yes.
Germany. So listen, I can tell y'all some stories that'll
Mm,
make your head spin. I did that job for 2 years when I was in college, and I'm like, I got to get the hell up out of here. I stayed 2 years. The reason I stayed 2 years is because I was allotted free travel wherever I wanted. So, and
nice.
I only worked 4 days a week. So every Friday I was going on a trip. So just about every country I've been to already.
Nice.
So
Wow.
anyway, um moving right along, because we coming to the end, we even get to the half of stuff we want to talk about. There is a lawsuit happening now in California. See, get in the courts, not settle.
Oh, you talking about Ari Spears?
No.
Oh, my bad.
Um, in California's largest race bias cases, Latino workers are
Wow.
accused of abusing black colleagues. Now, this is what you call the warehouse industry. The largest port for Asia and Europe is through California. If you never knew that before, I'm telling you now.
Mhm.
Now,
Okay.
these warehouses are contracted by manufacturers. The Latino community in California wanted to have total control of that industry and who gets employed there. Well, the black workers who work there, and they're very few because they don't like to hire them. Okay, being called all kind of N words and mayetes. You know, I don't know if you all seen the movie Fridays before, but you remember when Ice Cube went over to talk to the Spanish speaking young lady. Um, she was, I mean, somebody's mic is echoing. Hold on, there we go. It's black. But anyway, the essays was calling him a mayete. right? Which is a bug, I think in Spanish. I think that's what it means, a bug. But anyway, it's a derogatory term for black people. And you had one brother here, Benjamin Watkins, described how a Latina co-worker called to him, "Hey monkey, hey you," and waved a banana in her hand. Now, this is not far-fetched because I don't know if you all remember, last year I spoke about a similar case in Chicago where a employment agency refused to hire black people because it was being run by Spanish folks out there. So this is not far fetched, and I'm so glad that black people are going into the courtroom. You don't change no laws until you litigate to get those laws changed. Settlement and rhetoric does nothing. It never has, it never will. You have to operate within the apparatus that we have or destroy it. So I'm glad that these people are taking these folks to court because these things, listen, the gangs in LA, the way they beating up black people, even here in New York, you had black people uptown, Brother Black, your neck of the woods, who was scared of these MS-13s and whatever gangs that's up there. But when them black brothers in the Crips went uptown, on camera they did it. They did on news cameras they did it. They checked them damn people uptown. And all of a sudden they got scared. They were scared. This is what I'm saying. Oftentimes we have to bring that physical prowess. Talking ain't gonna work. Marching don't work. Causes attention to certain things, but it doesn't work. When are we gonna start putting paws on folks? That's what I'm talking about. You got social workers who are trying to blackmail black women to sleep with them, sodomites, or they taking their children away from them. Now, don't blame me. Blame Brother Tad, because he the one who sent it to me. So, I'm going to play this one for y'all, because we moving fast, y'all. We got to move fast. Here we go. Hold on. Give me a second. Add it to the stream. There we go. Now, I think you sent this to me, Brother Tad. I believe so.
Yes, I did.
There you go. Now, it says she'd have children stolen from women who rejected her sexual advances. This is a city agency designed to protect children. And these degenerates are a part of the employment role, but this is not mainstream news. Hold on, family. Check this out.
This is a former Colorado child protection caseworker who has now been charged. Why? Because according to multiple individuals, she would make sexual advances. And when those sexual advances were rejected, she would then engage in a process to get the child removed from the household of the parent she tried to sleep with. Her name is Robin Nasita. Ms. Nasita is listed as a defendant in a lawsuit alleging she tried to punish moms who rejected her advances by having their children taken away from them. Nasita now faces felony charges for retaliation against an elected official, as well as a misdemeanor charge of making a false report of child abuse as a mandatory reporter. The alleged offenses happened when that woman worked in the County Department of Human Services. According to a criminal complaint, Nasita called the DHS anonymously to report that a local city councilwoman, Danielle Jurinsky, sexually abused her own son in the presence of staff. Okay, that never happened. That was completely untrue. The complaint, however, alleges that Nasita used a personal phone to make the call, and that the authorities investigated the case, found the allegations to be completely untrue, non-factual. Nasita made the call after the councilwoman, Jurinsky, appeared on a local radio show and called for the firing of the Aurora police chief, who was Nasita's girlfriend at the time. Nasita's girlfriend was the police chief that the councilwoman said this person needs to be fired for misconduct. Now, things have gotten worse for this once trusted individual in the community. After Jurinsky filed a civil lawsuit against Nasita and the County Department of Human Services because of this ridiculous allegation, several other women came forward. These other women, when a county child protective caseworker would lure them in, make sexual advances towards them, and when the advances were rejected, Nasita would try to take their children away, utilizing her official position as a child protective worker. The attorney for the councilwoman, Jurinsky, has filed documents asking for a class action lawsuit for, and I quote, well over 40 persons whose families.
Let me stop right there. What did he say? A class action lawsuit. What am I telling
Over
you?
40
I'm not
people.
talking stuff out of my tail. This is what needs to happen. The reason why, and I'm going to say this truth. I'm glad Sister Pat is on the check-in. Brother Ray Ray is on the check-in. There's a mosquito in this room and it's driving me crazy. Brother Ray Ray is on the check-in. Who can attest to what I'm saying? The reason why you can meet with 3 or more persons privately without having white folks in your meeting is because the United African Movement filed won their lawsuit because they were sued by Manu Southgate and New York Post because she wanted access to UAM forums. If that case wouldn't have happened, they could intervene whenever they want, anytime of any one of y'all meetings. All of you who stream right now today, you don't even know who fought in the courtroom so that you can have that ability. You have to go to court. Not a goddamn settlement. Not a goddamn protest. That's BS. That's nonsense. So until we make these things happen, and I said this before, I spoke with Brother Knowledge Born because I want to form a Black Media Commission. I'm not doing it by myself. I've been talking to attorneys to protect us all. I don't care if I don't agree with this, and I don't care if I don't agree with that, and this person is a gossip columnist. We must all have protections under the law. And in order to do that, we have to have a commission. We have to have a legal standing. Because what is coming down now? Listen, they're going to try to remove all of us from these platforms. All of us. It's in the works now. But how many Black streamers can give you that insight as to what is happening legally right now? Not many. They don't want to talk about it. Go ahead, sis.
No, I was going to say you, Sister Keisha, can give us the insight.
I can. I didn't take these Harvard law classes for nothing. Or media law. You think I took those just for my health? Now I'm taking.
Because you had nothing better to do but to study.
IT classes because I want in on the inside. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't take this for my God. When Tad, Ashe, and myself decided we was going to do this, back when we was on the other platform, oh, hell no. I got a lawyer. Just in case something happened with us, we are protected. Then I had to take these damn law classes because I'm seeing what is happening in the Supreme Court as we speak. Mainstream media ain't talking about it because they're under the protection. The streamers aren't. Whether it's a podcast, YouTube, even what do you call that? Executive producers of film with streaming devices like I think Damon Dash has a streaming device, a streaming platform. So many Black people have streaming platforms for you to watch TV. They want to put a stop to all of that. But nobody's talking about these things. It's critical in what you want to do, especially in this arena. You got Brother Ray Ray. You missed it last night. Mike Graves was, going in about the Black church, and I can't wait for part 2. But just teaching each other, right? Learning from each other. This is why censor certain things that you say. This is why they pull things off your channel when you say certain words. You think it's just because of these streaming platforms want it done? No, they're in conjunction with the government. In compliance, working with the government to get us all out of here before this metaverse thing really take off. Please read these legal cases, family. I told you I got a pad over here. If I swing this camera, y'all be like, what the hell? All cases. I got to protect us. I don't give a damn about what other people are doing. We better get on code to protect ourselves. And you have to go to court, family. So I'm praying that city workers and others who were wronged with these mandates, please file lawsuits. Please file lawsuits. We have to flood the courts. And when people, I saw, the documentary with Benjamin Crump, I think it was on Netflix. I watched that. His way of doing things, and he said it. If you go back to Netflix and watch the documentary, is to break the system financially. You can never break a system financially that invests trillions of dollars into itself. It's ridiculous. You have to make it punishable by law and death if you wrong Black people. That's how the Asians got the hate crime bill in 6 months. All they gotta do is think you saying something bad about them. They are a protected class. We are not a protected class. But you got all this to say. You know so much rhetoric. Watch what they doing now. Watch. Listen, there is a case right now in the Supreme Court. Shout out to this brother. But his case is now in the Supreme Court, or on the calendar, I should say, of the Supreme Court, because there is a blockage, if you will, for entrepreneurs in certain industries. He is in the tech industry. He had a contract with the military, but because he refused to let the military take over it, they canceled the contract, making it null and void. Here you have a Black man with a tech company that is suing the U.S. military, but nobody's talking about these things. But I bet you could tell me what Aries Spears said about Lizzo. Stop the BS. Stop the BS. What do you say? Yeah, there is something at City Hall tomorrow. Exactly. There's a hearing for fire city workers at 12 o'clock. Absolutely. But please take these people to court. Sister Aruba 927, she said, I'm one of those city workers. My co-workers ain't about that life. I'm with the shits. You damn right. You damn right. We have to. Everybody. Listen, Dr. Claude Anderson said it in 1999. Everybody was going to be on Black folks' neck. Everybody. We heard, we saw, we did nothing. That's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. And history is at the forefront of it all. When people say they don't care about history, then you don't care about your life. That's the blueprint for any winnable case in a courtroom. Any real lawyer worth his own salt will tell you that. But I'm gonna get off my soapbox on that. I'll keep you guys abreast of what's happening with that, especially the communications case against the FCC. So I'll keep you abreast of what I find out when I find out. I didn't take them classes for nothing, because them professors in Harvard, schooled me to a lot of things. Including, as we entered, about divisive tactics. The most studied course in Harvard, department is. It's not law, it's not medicine, genetics. She
Mm.
knows. Kathy Hochul's daughter-in-law is a lobbyist for a pharmaceutical company, pushing the J.
Pharmaceutical.
Come on, family. Connect these dots and stop playing. Don't let these people play games with y'all out here. This is serious business. That's right, Sister Pat. She said Crump is a civil rights attorney, a silver rights attorney, not a civil nor human rights attorney. You have Kenya now wanted to sue. Uh, well, she ain't the queen no more, but you know the monarch for uh, colonial damages that they suffered under. You have Cameroon. Shout out to Cameroon, said they ain't using no more bleaching cream. If you were caught in Cameroon with bleaching cream, you going to jail. Good. I hope they adapt that policy in Jamaica because y'all be looking like straight ghosts running away from yourself. You know? Farnessa said, facts. Black folks need to stop sending their DNA to these ancestry companies.
Mm-hmm.
They're using your DNA to create bioweapons. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
We took the children on a trip to Harvard University to see. They got a whole goddamn building dedicated to genetics and genomes. I don't make this stuff up. Go visit for yourself. Go there and see. Matter of fact, you might get a free course in it. You might. You know? So right now I'm moving into the tech side of things. I'll be taking free course. You know, Google offers you free certified courses you can take with Google too. So
Yep.
y'all, there's no excuse to, especially in the field that you're in. You should know everything about it. Everything about it, from the laws,
For
politics to the finance, to the growth, to the marketing. You should know everything about it.
when I was
Okay, Sister Marcia. Okay.
Thank you, brother. When I was in corporate, that's how I got a lot of, like I went to NYU, got a couple of certificates in data management and stuff like that. But Google was like, oh, come to our warehouse here. This is before they opened that huge office over there on the west side, but they had a little depot warehouse. Learned so much about data collection, data analysis, market research. They're good guys sometimes, but they're only good just to, gather information.
There you go. You
And
know, like Dr. Clark said, use the orange until the juice is gone. If they
Yeah.
offer something free that you can use them. They'll
Yeah.
use you. Go ahead, Brother Tad.
And to piggyback off Sister Marcia point, that's where I was going, because what it is they gave us a manufactured value system. So while other groups are coming here from other countries, they're taking advantages of the free opportunities. Meanwhile, we're still trying to be 40-year-old rappers and 35 NBA players and singers, and we still under the mindset.
Hero strippers. Don't leave them chicks out.
Oh my God, I seen some grandmas on TikTok. I'm like, this don't make no sense. Grandma done got flued out and got a BBL. It's crazy. For those who don't know, BBLs is Brazilian butt lifts. Yeah, like grandma got one now. What's going on out here in the streets?
Nobody likes the natural stuff.
I do. But my point is that where I was going is that it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Sister Keisha, about as Dr. Claude Anderson said, we will be replaced if we don't get it together. I remember one lecture, he just broke down crying, like, yo, Black folks, you really don't get it. So here it is. We crying about jobs and opportunities. And meanwhile, there's so much information out here that's valuable that can earn you potentially 6 figures annually. Free certifications. All you have to do is apply yourself. But unfortunately, with our younger people, and it's not a knock on all of them, but many of them have this sense of entitlement, and they don't realize how fortunate they have it. See, when we was young, we used to hear about how far our parents and grandparents had to walk to get to school. We didn't value that because we had free bus passes and we'd hop the train and go to school. But as time moves forward and we see all of these advancements in technology, we survive with without a lot of things. You know, Sister Keisha, I sent you a video today about the children that were amazed at a landline. Like, you know, they saw the telephone, like, this thing really worked. But think how far we progressed with technology. Even when we look to the video games, when we all had Atari 2600, we just had a stick and one button like this. And that was our world. But now these video games got about 20 buttons on it, you know? And I'm just saying all that to say that the world is moving faster, but fundamentally, our moral fabric should be intact and in place, and we should be able to have a critical eye to identify things that are valuable to us. And unfortunately, we're not having, we're having this conversation on this platform, but I think it's important that our audience join in as well and spread this word about all this free information, you know, because you can go on any social media platform and get all kinds of information. Anytime I want to find out about some or I want to learn how to do some, I Google it, I YouTube it, there it is. You know, I have several certifications that cost me little to nothing. And I just got on to this whole Google thing because I'm not tech savvy, but with the free certificates, I'm about to be tech savvy and just put that as another piece of credential under the belt, because us as being descendants of MOTEP and all these great inventors and scientists and things like that, what's to stop us from being certified in multiple disciplines? Who said I can't be a certified personal trainer and a certified IT tech, you know? And these are the conversations that have to be had, because we're encouraging our people to get trades to build buildings, but the future is in electronics. So we need our young people to know that too, because sure enough, as these immigrants are coming in, I promise you they'll take advantage of it. You go outside the welfare building, any welfare building, they're giving you free cell phones and tablets. So here you go. You already got access to the internet because there's Wi-Fi everywhere now. On the train, in a coffee shop, even out on some of these streets, some of these charging stations and Wi-Fi towers, all over the place. But we don't see the value in it. We think it don't have a high ticket price, it's not worth anything. Meanwhile, Janet Jackson and Luther Vandross told us the best things in life are free. So we need to start taking advantage of a lot of free stuff, you know.
And if anything, I would suggest, you know, like, I will put out some information, but that data collection and data analysis is so important. And if the little people could understand data right now, like, I was just reading some market research where they said the average person is spending 431 minutes online per day. That's like 7 hours per day that you are scrolling on something or watching something.
And not getting
that
paid.
Makes no sense. And because, you know, this is another reason why the more certificates or the more places you have access to, the better. Because I want to see the breakdown by age group, because that's going to be very interesting to see. But the only way you could get access to that level of data is being in a particular setting so that it's open to you, or you pay $500 for the year to have access to all types of market research. Now, if I could manipulate that $500, then I would. But for right now, I can't, so I'm not. I'll try to get it for free. Because, like Tad said, Janet and Luther said, the good things are free.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
431 minutes a week or a month?
A day.
7 hours, brother.
Which one?
A day.
Help? You hear me?
On some kind of electronic
431
device.
minutes a day on scrolling online.
On some.
Well, this is the big difference as far as that's concerned. Remember, yeah, we used to do the same thing with TV. maybe combined with radio when we were younger. Now you got it in your pocket. You can put headphones on, so don't nobody else got to hear what you're doing. It's
Okay.
this. It's the big. It's the. To me, it's just
But
an adjustment as opposed to a difference.
So, brother, even when we say that, okay, in our youth, we did that, we see the detriment to our community at a large of spending so much time on a screen. So the problem is if our children are doing it and they're just giving me the rounded average. I'm not able to see the breakdown by age group. That's what I need to see. But I guarantee you the breakdown by age group is going to go higher and higher the younger and younger they are. You know, it might be close to 1,200 hours per day for someone who is 17 and under. That's a problem.
1,200 minutes, you mean? 1,200 hours. Ooh.
Yes, thank you, brother.
That's some superhumans, and I don't want no part of that.
Well, they gave you the jab to become a superhuman.
Yes.
Pretty much. So we're gonna move right along because we're running down on time. I'm gonna play this clip that Brother Tab was talking about, and then we have something to discuss with Sister Marcia as we close out. So this is what Brother Tab was talking about, the generation gap. Check this out, y'all. Now, I hope y'all don't feel like ancient dinosaurs after this, but leave me alone.
So cute.
My job is to show you the information. Hold on, here we go.
Yo, it's actually working.
Yeah, it's hooked to the phone.
Can I do your number?
Yeah, it will ring. It will call me.
Really? All right, hold on.
Yeah, it's a real phone.
What do I do now?
Put it up to your ear. See?
Answer. I'm like, I'm supposed to. Hey, what do I do? Answer. Wow, it's answering. That's cool.
Hello? Answer. Hello? Oh my gosh! The phone actually works. Oh my gosh!
Hang up, Evan. Just push it down. Wait, get off of it. Just put it down. What? It ended.
Too cute. You know what that reminds me of, though? You know the phone like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had the So I was in Haiti, little person, and they had a phone like this, and I was like, how do you get the call? And there was still, Haiti, switchboards at the time to transfer in a call. That was so amazing. So amazing.
Yeah.
Life is so beautiful.
Right? That's Generation Z. Go ahead, Brother Sad.
No, I was gonna say, I think how fast and far technology came, because when we were that age, you get a spanking for playing on that phone. Get off my goddamn phone, hang up my phone. You get in trouble for things like that, because we literally walk around with pocket computers now. I remember when I was a kid in public school and they first introduced us to the Commodore, and they was, wheel it in, and it was like, yeah, in the future, everybody's going to have a computer in their home. And I was thinking computer was rich people. And then we had video games. They were like, in the future, everybody's going to have a video game in their home. And we couldn't really fathom that. You think as children, we watched the Jetsons, right? But the Jetsons now have antiquated technology. The stuff we have now has superseded the Jetsons. People say, yeah, we just don't have flying cars. Yes, we do. They're called helicopters. Many people who can afford travel in helicopters now. They get from Manhattan to the Hamptons, helicopters landing on top of the building or either on a West Side highway or anywhere. Heliports all over for people who take that mode of transportation. So
remember when Kobe died in?
Say it again.
Remember what supposedly Kobe died in?
Exactly. Exactly. So we are past the Jetsons right now. So we can only imagine what the future looks like. So that's why it's important that we stay abreast of this information and update our information. And even within our movement, I had this conversation earlier. Many of us regurgitate rhetoric from decades ago, but we're not even in that time space no more. So today's problems won't work with yesterday's solutions. And this is why it's important we get young people involved, pull them on board. Like you said, Sister Keisha, you know, the young people that was remixing our elders and ancestors' lectures, making it more palatable to young people, because our young people want to know this information. They want to know this knowledge. But we can't beat them in the head or get angry for what they don't know. We just have to guide them and be honest and share our experience with them, particularly our mistakes that we've made in terms of dealing with organizing people. And when I say organizing, I'm talking about within our civic groups, within our religious groups, within our family structure, within our classrooms, growing up, having friends in class. Because all this is about is how we interact with one another and work for the benefit of the group. This is real important. Get our people out of that individualistic mindset that many of us are holding on to. You know, granted, don't be nobody fool. Get what you can, but get it with the intent to help others, because that's the only way we all gonna make it in the struggle that we're in.
Absolutely. And speaking of our young people, Sister Marcia and Young Africans on the Rise have
Yeah.
a fundraiser that is coming up September 17th right here in Brooklyn, Linden Boulevard Multiplex. We are going to take the children to see Woman King and then have an open discussion after.
Right.
Go ahead, Sister Marcia. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Women King is about the Diomi women and their roles, good and bad, for the liberation of their civilization at that time. I feel that it is an important film to watch at this particular time because there's a lot of rhetoric about roles of women and how we position ourselves, and we are everything and we should not be marginalized into a tiny little box. So we're renting out the theater. I've rented out the theater already. And so I am hoping to, raise some funds for future programs for the little people and have a dialogue. But let me tell you, so I called the place in like July. And I spoke to them about renting out the back room. They was like, yep, sure. Call us 10 days before. I called them yesterday and they was like, oh, we don't do that. I said, you think I'm crazy? You think I put all this plan and effort into something and you don't do this? So the good universe is good. We're going to find a place to dialogue, but we are still watching the film. So I hope everyone could come out and support and help the young people get some funds so that we could do some STEM programs. We can do some purpose development program. I feel that the more we could get little people to understand their purpose outside of sports, because the young men love their sports. They feel like they are the next Kobe, Michael, and everyone else. And, but I just want them to see how they could position the women in their lives differently and not look at them a particular way since society is telling them a particular thing. I know this film will be full of propaganda and stuff we're not going to like, but if we filter through the crap and look at the real, we'll really have something true to discuss and really start positioning sisters in a different point of view. So that's what I have to say. Thank you for allowing me the time.
Sister Marcia, real quick. You said
Yes,
they
sir.
said that they don't rent out the rooms for dialogue?
The room that I'm talking about is at Linden Wood Diner. So I called them in July and I asked them because, you know, of the jab problem and stuff like that. They was like, oh no, we've eliminated that. This is going to be fine and stuff like that. So yeah, you can do it. Just call us 10 days. Because I said, how soon do I have to call to reserve the back room? 10 days in advance. And I said, it's going to be a Saturday. No problem. 10 days in advance. I called 10 days in advance exactly. And they said, oh, no, we don't do that. We haven't been doing that since COVID. Oh, no, we don't even do large groups anymore. You all just got to come in at a particular time. I was like, are you crazy? I got people on different modes of transportation, people on time schedule. This is not right. So I don't know. I reached out to my alma mater because if no one knows the story, I went to St. Fortunata down the block. I reached out to them. Hopefully they'll open the space to us.
Or I may have someone that where we can.
Yeah, me too, at the Joshua Avita Center.
So yeah. Thank you, family. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah. So we're gonna make it happen by hook or crook.
Thank you, family.
I'll speak to my cousin tomorrow or over the weekend for sure, because I have to do something else for her. She has an after school program that's starting there, I think next Monday. Okay. So then I will find out if we can have access to that space as opposed to going to Lindenwood.
Okay. And also, I even called NYCHA for the community center because, again, I told you I went to school right across the street. And I know they had projects in there and stuff like that. NYCHA gave me the runaround for like 3 days. I'm calling different NYCHA offices to find out about renting the space. And then someone was like, oh, well, then just call Barron or somebody. And I was like, I could do that. But then I don't want it to be a political conversation. I want it to be a community-based conversation. And once you invite certain folks, they like to monopolize the conversation. And no offense to anyone, because I love everyone. I'm a lover, not a fighter, but I'm a fighter too. So let's get that right. But any assistance anyone could put out and help out this situation, this would be really great, because we need to understand our roles, reposition ourselves, and fight the good fight, because the fight is ours to win. If we sit back, we won't win.
You know what, Sister Marcia? I'm gonna share something with you real quick. In the early stages of party, there were times, you know, people say we could use their space and then go through just what you was going through. And you know what we would do? Meet in the park. Just like that. Whatever we were gonna do, it's a nice day, let's do it outside.
Shay, I like that idea. But that was things that I was thinking too. Like I would so when I send out the tickets, I'm like, well, because I haven't sent out the tickets yet to people that have purchased. So if you're listening, I do have your tickets. I just haven't sent it out because I wanted to finalize everything before. But I was going to be like, yo, carry your chairs. We might just have the conversation outside if it's not raining. I don't know.
Or if it's not raining, what we could do, I'm looking now, I'm trying to look at a 10-day forecast.
Yeah, me too. That's funny.
It doesn't look to see as if it will be raining, but we don't know. All you got to do is take everybody to Shirley Chisholm Park. There are benches, tables, and everything right there, free of charge.
See, so I would have a serious problem if I come with my son.
No, you won't.
How am I going to travel?
Huh?
How are we going to travel? I don't have a car at the moment.
To the park?
Yeah, so the thing is, I'm taking excess. Well, you know what? Too much business on this platform. We'll talk offline. Yeah.
We do it in the parking lot of the Linden movie theater.
For real. Because we have to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, family. Thank you, everyone. I hope everyone comes out. I really put a lot of thought into renting this out for this purpose. And I really think it's important to celebrate women who really fought and who really put in strong efforts and not diminish their men at the same time, because that's a lot of the conversation that is had, is that when, oh God, I'm choking up. When women fight, they diminish the men, and we're not supposed to fight and diminish anyone. We're supposed to be complements and work together.
Sure.
That's right. It's funny you say that. Sister Farnessa said the same thing. She says, I look forward to hearing y'all's take on this film because I've been seeing some black guys talking negative about them putting a woman in this role and calling her a king. Dr. Patricia Newton was a king. Did y'all know that?
Yes.
Nah,
This is what I'm saying. People just be spewing out rhetoric and they don't know what the hell they talking about. You don't know what the hell you talking about. So anyway, I look forward to seeing that with your crew. I've done quite a few things with your crew. Remember me, Brother Tad, and Brother Ashe came out to a screening you had for Race War.
Yes.
Yes, we was there. So again,
and Brother Peace. Well,
yes, and Brother Peace.
Yeah. And again, that was another program that I put effort and thought into with the collective about how do we present this to get our community to discuss things and work on solutions. So I'm definitely a solutionary.
I'm gonna use that one, a solutionary. All right.
Yep.
First, I gotta not get tongue tied saying it. I'm a native Brooklynite. Don't open up our jaws too wide when we speak. We like to keep it on the hush hush, especially in Brooklyn. I don't know about the Bronx people, like Black and all them. No.
I'm from Brooklyn too. I'm Brooklyn. I'm East New York, born and raised.
You Brooklyn.
You too far east of East New York.
Oh.
Now I'm too far, but that's where I made me. That's where me came to be me right now.
Mm-hmm. I heard you closer to the Bronx now.
No, I'm closer to the airport to fly out of this crazy land.
Ain't no airports in the Bronx. Yeah,
no. By me, I'm not closer to the Bronx. Don't be.
See, y'all being bad hombres. I'm telling you. But anyway, family, we thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you. Share them, like, subscribe. Make sure you tell somebody who tells somebody. And don't forget to check out Brother Tad on the OG Wisdom Podcast.
Yeah.
Catch the replays.
More episodes. Like, we are really loading up. Shout out to my brother C Gutter.
Yeah.
We really loading up some things, We definitely got to get him on the show too. In fact, yes, Sister Keisha, we're gonna talk behind the scenes because there's a couple of brothers that's doing some phenomenal things that I've linked with, and yeah.
Speaking of C Gutter, I'm gonna play the clip of our intro where I had a picture of Brother C Gutter in it. So I'm gonna play that. Shout out to C Gutter. I see you when I see you, my brother. Take care and be well. Don't be starting no trouble out here,
Yeah, he's definitely a troublemaker.
Y'all better stop starting trouble. Nah, I'm just kidding. I love my brothers, and
I'm the mom. He the troublemaker.
See, here go Tad, thoughting the blame on somebody else. You see that Gutter, right?
That's that Brooklyn stuff.
Under the bus. But again, family, we appreciate y'all. We will see you black again right here on the Brooklyn Bridge. Good night, family.
Peace.